seriously, it's just as fatuous, folks, to say that there is a war on women being waged by the Republican Party. It's patently absurd if you just stop for a brief moment and think about it. Now, I know there are people who say, hey, rush. It's not what you say. It's how people hear you. I know. But see, I live in Literalville. I am the mayor of Realville. And while I understand deception, spin, perception, and all that, I prefer dead in the eye, straight on, here is what I mean. I don't like speaking in riddles, and I don't like assuming that people know what's in my mind before I say something. So when I hear that there is a war on women, it's absurd. It's fatuous. The real hilarity is that there are armies of stupid, small-minded Democrat voters who actually will be made to believe this kind of thing because they're so bent on having an outlet for their hatred every day. So it's the same thing with, well, really, we're not interested in lowering the gasoline price. We want to get the nation off of oil. See, oil is the fuel of the engine of freedom, and that's dead on accurate right between your eyes. That's not spin, that's not deception, that's not in any way painting pictures. Oil is the fuel of the engine of freedom, and there is no replacement for it. There is no substitute for it. Okay, so what is the purpose then of all of this green energy stuff? The purpose is an expanding government with people like Barack Obama in command and control of as much of the daily workings of this country as they can be, all the way down to what doctor you see and whether or not you're going to be treated for an illness that you have. And perhaps even more control, what you eat. We just had the story yesterday of food injustice. It's coming. Every one of Obama's crony capitalist deals with solar energy has gone belly up. And every one of them has involved a slush fund that ends up coming back to Obama in the form of campaign contributions, just like the Democrat Party's relationship with unions is basically a money laundering operation. I know that there's some of you here today who have not listened to this program before. You're curious what's going on. So those of you who are regular, indulge me. I'm going to go back, say some things for our new arrivals, to try to help them understand. Now, I know it sounds really bad to say that the Democrats and the unions is a money laundering operation, because money laundering, when you associate that with drug cartels and stuff, wow, this Limbaugh guy, I can't believe how over the top he is. The president is a money launderer. Well, yeah, let me explain it. Organized labor, 90% or more of all campaign donations go to Democrats. That money comes from dues that are forcibly taken from union workers who have no say in how their union dues are spent. Many of these unions are made up of people who work for governments, federal, state, and local. They are paid by taxpayers. The taxpayers, via their taxes, pay these people. And on average, union, state government, federal government, union employees earn twice as much as non-union American citizens who are paying their salaries. Well, where does the money, all this millions and millions of dollars that gets donated to the Democrats come from? It comes from union dues. So the operation is very simple. Taxpayers pay for the salaries of union workers in government anyway. Those union members pay dues. The dues are collected, and the money goes to the Democrat Party. Taxpayers are basically contributing to Barack Obama when they have no intention of it. It's a money laundering operation. It is a circuitous way. When Obama comes up with favorable policies, the Democrats' favorable policies for union employees, it's because the beneficiaries of this new financial policy are going to see jobs maintained. For example, during the stimulus bill, so-called shovel-ready jobs, all that was money to keep union workers employed in the states and at various bureaucracies of the federal government. Because those people pay dues. Those people contribute to the Democrat Party's reelection efforts. The stimulus bill was to keep those people employed. It wasn't to create new roads and bridges. Didn't happen, did it? It wasn't to create shovel-ready jobs or to fill them. There weren't any, right? It's 2 years since the stimulus, and the Democrats are complaining the same stuff needs to be done. But we spent $1 trillion. Where are the results? What's to show for it? The money didn't go to jobs, to you. It went to unionized people for the most part. Teachers, mostly Wisconsin, got 16% of it. So, same thing with all this solar energy stuff or wind energy. The Solyndra is the big example. Totally underwritten by grants and loans that were forgiven by the federal government. The companies go bust because they can't compete, because there's no business. There is no solar energy business yet. They're trying to force a business down everybody's throat that doesn't exist. Businesses evolve out of need and creativity and invention in the private sector. Government doesn't start anything. All it does basically is take from. But these dollars that Obama spent on Solyndra and other such organizations that failed also went to salaries for the people who ran the companies. And they have been found to be on record as donating to Obama. Another slush fund, another money laundering operation. And it is now, with all of this green energy stuff, it's simply a circuitous way for Obama to get his hand on taxpayer dollars. Folks, there's no substitute for oil. There's no replacement for it. We are not going to get off of oil. We are not going to have automobiles, airplanes, anything that move without oil. It isn't going to happen. Because there is no alternative. Have you ever stopped to think why we use oil and its derivatives, such as gasoline, kerosene, jet fuel? Have you ever wondered why? Do you think it's a conspiracy? Big oil's gotten together to conspire with others to make sure that only their product is used to power airplanes and cars? It's not how it happens. It happens in the free market because it's what works. It's what powers the internal combustion engine. It's not a conspiracy. It's not big business getting together to monopolize and control and deny you freedom of choice of fuels. It's because it works. It's found to be the cheapest and most economic and the most efficient way to move people and goods and services around. It works. That's why. There's nothing better than oil. There's nothing even close to it. We are blessed to have it. We're blessed to have the technology to know how to refine it and make additional products from it, which you find in your everyday life. It is not evil. And the people who work in that business are not evil. They contribute to greatness and the possibility of greatness. They contribute to people's dreams coming true. They make it possible for us to feed ourselves cheaply without having to kill each other to get something to eat. Oil is something for which everybody should be thankful. Now, Barack Obama himself yesterday's press conference said, well, one of the reasons of high gasoline prices is the instability in the Middle East. Really? When is there not instability in the Middle East? There has always been instability in the Middle East, ever since Adam and Eve blew it. And there will always be instability in the Middle East. It's nothing new. In fact, doesn't that instability in the Middle East argue even more for coming up with sources of oil that are not in the Middle East? If that's an unstable region, if it's dangerous, if that supply could be negatively impacted simply by the Iranians blocking the Strait of Hormuz, why do we want to continue to make ourselves vulnerable to that when we have our own oil? We've got it in shale in the Dakotas. We've got it in Alaska. We've got it in the Gulf of Mexico. There's one guy and his political party making sure that we can't get it. Barack Hussein Obama does not want this nation to be independent of Middle Eastern oil. Nobody can convince me he does. He opposed the building of the Keystone Pipeline to get oil from Canada. That would create eventually tens of thousands of jobs, by the way. But he couldn't have that because his left-wing fringe kook base would be really mad at him because they hate oil. They hate progress. They hate technological advancement. They had their way, we would all be living like they do in the hills of Afghanistan. Instability in the Middle East. That's one of the reasons for high gas prices. Well, wait, we have a solution. We got our own oil. Oh, no, it's too dirty, too risky. Kills wildlife, kills plants, kills grass, kills frogs. It's too risky. Too expensive, pollutes, global warming, destroys the planet. Well, then why are we using it at all? Why don't we ban it? If it's that bad. Can't ban it because we can't get along without it. For 30 years, the Democrats have been saying, you can't say that the answer is drilling for oil because it's going to take 4 or 5 years. Well, 4 or 5 years was now in 1970. In 2000, they said, oh, you can't drill. It's going to take 3 to 4 years, maybe 5 years for it. Well, now is 5 years after 2000. If we'd have been drilling at any point, if we would have increased drilling at any point in the last 30 years when the Democrat Party objected, we would have independence when it comes to foreign oil. The Democrat Party's not interested in that. In fact, your best bet is to believe the opposite of what they say on most everything. Got to take a break. Sit tight. We'll be back in just a second. Don't go away.